forgot to add myself. With all the excitement of today, it's a hot summer's day, and the markets are also hot. I thought people were supposed to take a rest during August. This certainly is not happening. Mark Townsend says Bitcoin just hit 120,000 live on the show. That's cool. Thank you, Mark, for sharing that. Thank you to the moderators in the chat. Let's get into the story. We'll be talking about a lot of wars and explosions and treasury wars and AI wars and all sorts of things. I should have called this treasury AI wars. But anyway, it looks like the new easy way to get rich fast is set up a Bitcoin or crypto treasury company. And that's what's happening. It is bonkers. Bonkers time to be alive. And it's great. It's great for the whole space until it's not. So we'll see if that day ever comes. So welcome to Octa's Tuesday. Sorry for rambling, and this is not financial advice. And thank you to everybody on Patreon who make me and the whole team possible. Well, not me, but make the content possible. From Ital Pedro, been following your videos for a year now. Novice here, but finally made the move to Patreon today. You're really changing people's lives. Awesome. And we've been able to sneak some good trades in as well over the last week or two, despite the, summer conditions. There's always alpha to be had. Let's get into the ugly news first of all. I won't dwell too much on this. Usual unlocks. Athena's always there. IGN's there. SA is there again for 1.3%. And the rest, who really cares about? If you're in any of those other names, you shouldn't be in crypto because they're not good. Anyhow, another little piece of bad news too. Inflation is back. And the reason we care, because that'll rattle people like Jerome Powell. But again, as I always say, he doesn't control inflation. He only controls demand, and he likes to crush that too. Real estate market is very brutalized right now, but there's good and bad news. Okay, when you look at these numbers, yes, we had the second highest month-over-month increase in CPI. But then the noobs would say, oh, it's the tariffs. No, it's not actually. It's all driven by shelter, which is not, and utilities, which are not tariff-based at all. So there you go. Again, Jerome Powell doesn't control it, and the tariffs aren't impacting it yet. Maybe not ever. Let's get into the bad news. We do have a little bit of bad news first. There is an AI war, and one guy is not very happy, and he's basically accusing Apple of some kind of bad things. And the main issue basically is no matter how hard you look for Grok in the Apple iPhone store, you will not find it. Apple are hiding it. Again, it's their store, but that's not the point. The point is you are denying people the best LLM. Per data, by the way, not my opinion. That's from the opinion of 8 different independent results and reports. But you can see here, they're pushing ChatGPT first. And as Elon says, Grok is the smartest AI in the world on the toughest tests and came first and by far by coding, but it's not mentioned at all under AI by Apple. And it's weird because I know there's people in the community that love their own little AI, whatever it is, for coding or something else. And people get used to using a certain application, and people are very reticent to change. But when the models say one model is the best, that's it. It's just data. But the real problem here with this particular war is Elon says Apple is the gateway to the internet for half of America. And they're making it impossible for any other AI company apart from ChatGPT to succeed. Apple's deal with ChatGPT might include a backdoor exposure to ChatGPT, as there's clearly no payment involved. But there's always something going on as well. Again, it's funny. Everything that Elon does, people try and suppress it. But the cream automatically floats the top, and if somebody is half intelligent, they will find a way to get it. Now, the other interesting thing about Tesla and Elon, because it's kind of related, but Dima said this: Starlink's purpose is to provide internet to the least served and to pay for Mars. And that's true. So the world gets internet at a very low cost in places that you can't actually get it. It saves lives, potentially. I know during crisis it does. And it'll all fund Mars too. But it's even better than regular internet cable service. Now, enough of that. Don't like the good and the bad and the ugly. I like the good news, not the rest. Let's talk about this. Fear and greed for crypto is at 68, which is kind of high. And crypto and markets are rattling right now today. We're having nearly a 9% day on Ethereum, up to 4,600. We have a 9% day on Solana, up to 191. Bitcoin just clipped 120,000. So things are really good across the board. And again, when the big guys go up, everything else goes up, which is good for the space. Let's look at what happened over the last week, which is slightly like in half an hour out of date. But the big returners for the week are Hype, Link, Cardano, Polkadot. Polkadot's long dead, and I can't believe it had a great week. Tron, which manages all the stablecoin payments around the world, and Solana, dark green days, and then ETH up 4.5%, which is now out of date too. But in terms of the last 7 days, we haven't really gone that far, at least on Bitcoin terms. Again, Bitcoin right now live is 119,800. So that's $300 ago this was taken. But that's the same price it was last Tuesday. So again, nothing really big happening. But there is big stuff happening behind the scenes, and we always like to follow the money here. This is digital asset flows. It may not look too impressive because we had a little bit of a outflow on weak US payroll data, but inflows did come in a little bit later in the week to bring us positive. New net flows about 572 million. And in terms of the different assets, you can see Ethereum, ETPs and ETFs led the market, attracting the highest inflows of any asset, 268 million. And that pushed year-to-date inflows to a record 8.2 billion. Ethereum flows have been on fire. And for those people who don't believe, why do you report on this numbers? Because this determines where the price goes. When big money goes into these assets, the number goes up. That's why we track it. What else happened with other assets? Bitcoin recovery, a little bit, up 265 million. But that's 10% of what ETH took in. It's bonkers. And again, ETH was lagging the ETFs for a year. And then over the last 6 weeks, it just went on fire. Solana, XRP, and Near also inflows of 21.8, 18.4, and 10 million respectively. So not all dead. Sui, $3 million outflow. Not sure why that is either. But let's talk a bit about Bitcoin, and then we're going to do some analysis of chains. We'll look at users, we'll look at fees, we'll look at market cap, just some thoughts that were spurned on today. But first of all, when we look at where we are right now, this is from Axel. You can see here the big profit-taking areas for Bitcoin. We had a big profit-taking area early 2024 after the ETFs launched around April, May 2024. Then we had a big one right before the end of the year, late 2024 as well, into a little bit January. And then we had June, July profit taking. But if you look at the amount of profit taking, it's going down, despite the fact that the price is going up. So even though Bitcoin has risen to its all-time high, the realized P&L ratio remains around its average level. And with this structure of a sharp trend reversal is notably lower during the last P&L peaks when the market was in an overheated state. It is not in an overheated state. And this tells me, my conclusion from this, not Axel's, and I'm putting words in his mouth, but the profit taking is slowing, which means, as I said, there's only a certain amount of profit taking that actually happens every bull run. And I think we're tapping out. But the treasuries are coming in hard, which is crazy. Now, let's look at some option analytics. About once a month, I check in on this to find out where we're going. We have somebody or a group of people or a bunch of experts or whatever. They have bought 11,000 call options, betting on $140,000 Bitcoin by September. Okay, September is not very far away. We're talking less than 5 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks. And could we go from $120,000 right now to 140? The answer is yeah. That's not a big move for Bitcoin at all in 6 weeks. So these guys might be maybe right. And I first shared this probably back in March. I remember distinctly the 140K strike was a very popular number for September, and it got my attention. It's still there. And I always say the Deribit options traders are really good and they know what's up. So watch this space. Now, is it still Bitcoin season? The answer is yes. We are still in Bitcoin season of 41. We were middle of the road last week at 49, but it's coming right back to Bitcoin. But I think this will change because ETH is on fire again today. But if you see here, the top 50 over the last 30 days, Bitcoin pretty much break even. We've gone nowhere, not only over the last week, but also over the last 30 days. But if you look at all the other names that are up there, pretty much everything is beating it. So over the last 30 days, it is definitely alt season. Over the last 90 days, no, not so much. But the big story I do want to share is this. Ethereum had their biggest ETF day ever. $640 million into BlackRock's ETH ETF and $276.9 million into Fidelity's ETH ETF. $1.019 billion. Massive, massive amount of money coming into Ethereum. And Tom Lee just filed to raise like 20 billion more or something to buy more Ethereum. This is the treasury wars that are on, you know. Number one question I get every week is, will this be the next MicroStrategy? The answer is there will never be another MicroStrategy because they were the first mover. They've been through 2 cycles and they managed to start stacking Bitcoin at 10 grand, which is now 12x since then. That's the key. But you don't necessarily want to start this stuff in the middle of a bull unless you want to keep stacking during the bear, if there is a bear, and then take it from there. But I don't know. There will, in my opinion, only ever be one MicroStrategy. Now, the ETH chart is also on fire. This is the ETH on the ATR model. You can see the spike over the last 6 weeks is something to behold. We went from $1,800 straight to $4,500 in just over a month, which is insane. It had some big spikes in the past. It had a bit of a run late 2022, and then the big bull run after C19 in 2020 that ran all the way up to the high around summer, November 2021. And since then, it's been down. We're still not at all-time highs yet. Another $400 to go, but it's going to hit that for sure. It took a while to get there, but it's getting there, and that is impressive. And remember, everybody's talking about the cycle, the rotations, mothership first Bitcoin, ETH second, the second largest crypto, and then whoever's third, fourth, fifth will trickle down and eventually get to the complete poop coins. We'll see if that rotation continues. But I do want to share some data on some stuff. Shout out to Mert, friend of the channel. He mentioned this regarding not Ethereum, but XRP. He said there is a blockchain out there with an asymmetrical amount of successful apps: Phantom, Jupiter, Judo, Axiom, Pump, Bonk, Squads, Camino, Helium, Hivemapper, with the fastest evolving market structure: BAM, Prop, AMMs, ACE routers, with the most battle-tested scalability, thousands of TPS for several years, and no outages, and a perfect chart that is up and to the right. I wouldn't say that about the chart, by the way, but we'll see. But at least the scalability is definitely up and to the right. I think that's what he means, not the chart, not the different chart. With an immensely strong startup ecosystem with incubators, accelerators, and super team, and with many institutional catalysts coming up, including DATS, including Solana Breakpoint, the Seeker phone, and much more, and with a crystal clear technical roadmap with a North Star designed to make it 100x faster and scalable, getting to 1 million TPS and so on. And it's still trading at less than half the market cap of XRP and 20% of the market cap of ETH. It'll eventually rise to the top. Let me show you some more data that I ran. This was inspired by Solana Floor, and I talked about the Solana continues to lead all L1 and L2 blockchains and network revenue for the 21st consecutive week, $19.5 million. Hyperliquid, watch them, 17.76 million, number 2. Tron, number 3, 14 million. Ethereum, number 4, 8 million. This is crazy. The amount of money. And you can see here the winners are taking most. But what I want to do is a quick recap on where we are with these different assets. So calculated again, from the SCP profiler, the amount of market cap per user as a valuation. Because I was interested, Hyperliquid, how many users do they have? What's the market cap? What's the market cap per user, etc. Just to give us a perspective of how things are and how crazy diverse is the entire space. I mean, we know things like XRP, a fully diluted market cap is $13 million a user. The existing circulating market cap today is $7.538 million per user. Compare that to Solana's 24 grand. Compare that to Bitcoin. It is 4.6 million. Compare that to Ethereum, it's 1 million. Cardano, 1 million. Ethereum and Cardano have the same market cap per user. That's interesting. Anyway, and then Aptos is there, Arbitrum, Algorand, but their market caps are small. But Hyperliquid is an interesting one to look at too. Hyperliquid, okay, very, very small number of users, 21,000 users, but they have $669,000 market cap per user. So I'll let you all figure out what the anomaly here is as well. But even nuttier, this is the average fees spent per user. This got my attention. Okay, we know the average fee for an Ethereum user is $4.43.4. The average fee for a Hype user is $129.21. Crazy, 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 crazy. And you can see the rest out there. So the question is, I don't know how this is all going to pan out over time, but I thought it's always good to check in on those because technically, as a traditional investor, I look at these metrics, and you want to basically buy what has the most adoption and the best value. As Mert said, when will the cream float to the top? And that's why I'm so excited about Ethereum, because they've shown what can happen with some money flows. And I calculated as well, if $1 billion in an ETF flew into Solana, the price would immediately, in 24 hours, go up at least 21%. Crazy. Anyway, that day will come. We just have to be patient. Might not be this year, might be next year, might be 5 years from now. I don't know, but it's going to come. Now, stock fear and greed is at 63. Let's look at, since we're talking about treasury companies, the treasuries are also crazy. Now we have three treasuries trading under their bags. Upexi, number one, at 0.84 NAV premium, which is a 16% discount to the bag. Semler, 0.94, 6% discount to the bag. And Mara, 4% discount to their Bitcoin bag. All of their other IP, real estate, energy, rigs, team, all for free. Actually, all at a discount. Bonkers. And you can see some of the other ones. MetaPlanet, 2.49. That's come down a lot. That used to be 6 a few weeks ago. And MicroStrategy just under 1.5 at 1.49. And we heard as well that Coinbase is also going to start stacking Bitcoin. So again, treasuries are it. I've been saying for a long time now, and they're crazy. And the plans coming are bonkers too. Let's look at the returns in the stock market over the last 7 days. A lot of AI action. NVIDIA up only 1.67%. But remember, the market cap of NVIDIA is now $4.5 trillion. $4.5 trillion. Wow. By the way, in the 90s, I remember when the first tech company called Microsoft hit $100 billion. People thought that was mesmerizing. Okay. Fast forward 25 years, we have a tech company worth $4.5 trillion. 45x what Microsoft was 25 years ago. Mad to think about. Anyhow, Apple up 13%. Apple coming back hard. Amazon 4%. Tesla up 10.39%. Google up 4.6%. Microsoft down 1%. Meta down 1.6%. Oracle down 0.25%. So again, not all things run at the same time. Some things run first. Some things kind of hang back till later. Let's talk about cars before we talk about other stuff. And we know there's massive disruption happening all over the world. The disruption we're going to see over the next 10 years will be like more than this disruption we saw in the previous 100 years. Remember that. It's kind of hard to think about, but it's what's going to happen. Mercedes is screaming and crying, saying the EU's plan to ban CO2 emitting vehicles from 2035 is going to cause Mercedes to drive into a wall at full speed. Basically, I think they stopped selling their EOS or EQS or whatever their electric Merc is in the US because they can't make it work. They are challenged by guess who making electric vehicles, just like BMW and all the other players. They can't make them profitably. They can't even make them unprofitably and sell them. And the head of Mercedes saying, we're going to crash into a wall unless you change these rules. The question is, will they bend? But, there was a great analogy that, would you make a robot today running on a gas engine? I can't remember who said that. It was really genius when you think about it. Of course you wouldn't. Why make a car running on a gas engine? It's ludicrous. But they need it because it's the only thing they can make. They can't pivot. They can't change. Anyhow, Circle, they had their IPO not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago. They had their Q2 earnings, their first earnings as a publicly traded company. And it was kind of interesting. They posted a lot of very, very good stuff. And I can't remember the exact piece, but a lot of people were concerned about why they were actually losing money. And the answer is because when you file an IPO, you got a lot of stock-based compensation, you got a lot of fees involved with filing the IPO, etc., and they all get hit to the bottom line. So they did make a loss, but the company itself, the fundamentals are rock solid. USD in circulation of last year has gone up 90%. The last 5 months, most of that is issued on Solana. On-chain volume, $5.9 trillion, up 5.4x. What else? I can read the small numbers. Total revenue, 658 million, up 53%, and meaningful wallets up 68% to 5.7 million. This business literally mints money, just like Tether does. But now they're public, and there'll be more public stablecoin players as well coming. Now, this is an interesting prescient tweet from 2024 from Elon Musk, and he knows what's coming down the pike 8 years ahead. And he said, from Techie Danny said, was complaining about somebody else, and Elon posted on it. But basically, the brutal reality of the situation will hit like a tsunami towards the end of next year. That is regarding how advanced Tesla software is. I think this is referring to how FSD is completely licked. 10x parameter build coming out in September. People in where I live will be able to sleep in their cars probably by the end of the year and drive whatever 500 miles. It's going to be crazy. That's what I believe he's talking about, or else it's Optimus related, one or the other. Anyway, this is Circle. My slides are out of I knew I was missing something. This is the Circle chart, by the way. Since the IPO listed about $30, went on a rampage up to $300. I remember I was scrambling to short the thing at 270, but I re-entered again on that recent dip right there. And did a little trading today on it too. So it's fun. It's amazing how this thing, Circle, moves like a crypto stock, probably even more violently so. Anyway, back to Starlink. If you live in a rural area and have challenges getting good internet, now Starlink is on sale. They've dropped the price. For new customers only, $65 a month for residential light service. I know somebody who lives alone. They have residential light and they have no problem with it. They don't have like 4 kids streaming Netflix 24/7. And the other regular service, residential, is $99 and half off all the kits as well, which can be a couple of $100. So if you're stuck somewhere and need internet, it's an interesting one to think about. And final piece of the news today, which is good news if you are a buyer. I always say everybody needs a castle. Now you can see here the number of sellers you got in the US, 2 million sellers trying to flog their homes, and there's only 1.4 million buyers. Okay. When you have a mismatch as large as that, all right, nearly over 500,000 more homes available, a lot of sellers can get desperate. If you need to buy a castle, even if you need to take an expensive mortgage at 7% for a few months and refinance a year later, consider doing it now. If you got cash, it's such a buyer's market. Lowball bid the hell out of people selling their properties. Odds are they'll say, yep, thank you very much. And then when the mortgage rates get cut, real estate prices will skyrocket again. This is one of those once every 10-year real estate buying opportunities. So have your finger on the trigger. If you need one, not financial advice, I like to buy real estate after big crises and times like now too. Finishing up with meme du jour, ETH again. Talking a lot about ETH today, but it is huge. The move says it's funny. You're a crypto. I'm angry with you. It's only $1,300, which wasn't too long ago. And now it's our lovely crypto at nearly $4,500. I thought that was hilarious. Let me know below if anybody can relate to that. And all these videos are turned into podcasts and emails. You get all the slides and all the content and all the stuff I write too as well. So thank you all for coming. And don't forget to subscribe. I don't know. It's not even 10 cents a day. It's a lot less than that. We just try and cover costs. And that's it. Just to get the word out. That's all we want to do. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Cheers to, hope I didn't miss anybody here. Cheers to the moderator, Sir Winston Forrest, Shark Lover, IC3 Blink, and Piper up there in Canada. I hope you're all well. Have a great night. See you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.